Welcome to Digication Scholars Conversations. I'm your host, Kelly Driscoll. In this episode, you'll hear part one of my conversation with Kyle Hewson, Vice Chair and Clinical Associate Professor in the Doctorate in Physical Therapy program at Stony Brook University. More links and information about today's conversation can be found on Digication's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Full episodes of Digication Scholars Conversations can be found on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Welcome to Digication Scholars Conversations. I'm your host, Kelly Driscoll, and today I'm so excited to introduce our guest, Kyle Hewson. Kyle is the Vice Chair and Clinical Associate Professor in the Doctorate in Physical Therapy program at Stony Brook University. Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. So I happened to track Kyle down after seeing some extraordinary student portfolios that were created in Digication, where the students, I feel like, are just showcasing this exemplary use of high impact practices across their education there, and discovered that many of them are creating this beautiful showcase of both their undergraduate work and what they're doing at Stony Brook University within the platform in really remarkable ways. And I discovered, Kyle, that you created what looks like possibly a beginning template that the students were using as kind of a springboard to this process. Yes. So wanted to reach out because you're kind of the powerhouse behind what they're doing in this area. And I'm so excited to celebrate what you do and learn more about your background and how you started using these tools with your students. So I would love, Kyle, if you could share with our listeners a little bit about how you found your way to Stony Brook University.
Great. All right. Thank you again, Kelly. So I am a physical therapist, graduate from Hunter College, and for almost 20 years, I was a clinician, love working in the hospital setting, long-term care, a little bit of outpatient. But I always had the dream to be a teacher. I do have the gift of gab. I love to communicate, and I've had a lot of great patient stories through my life, which I'm very grateful for. So I started to teach a course at Nassau Community College in their PT assistant program. And I was lucky to start as the clinical coordinator at a new program at New York Institute of Technology in Old Westbury. So they were starting a program there, and I was able to start with the chair. And that was my first full-time job as faculty. And I learned so much. The jump from clinician to academics is huge. Different language, different ways of being viewed and ideas. And your brain explodes a little bit, but also your heart is like, I get to share all of the richness and challenges of being a clinician. And we always know more than our students. So you feel confident initially. So there I was able to do some great things. With a colleague, we did a pro bono clinic, and it was just a great experience. I also started my doctoral degree in education, which helped me, give some foundational knowledge to the different areas that I was learning. I always was kind of in the professionalism and ethics track. So that was kind of the area. And that's what I did my dissertation in. And so then I got the call from a colleague that there was an opening at Stony Brook University for a similar position. So I moved over, and I have been here for 20 years. And I've had different roles, usually involving some type of administration, which is really, I guess, one of my strengths in the sense of I call myself a process person. I like to make the whole thing smooth and clear to whatever the students have to do. So we're very to custom customer service here and
Yes,
having our
ma'am.
students know upfront what is happening. At the same time, every year you get to go to a conference, which is the American Physical Therapy Association Combined Sections Meeting. And that is when educators from all over the nation come together. And either you go to something in your area like orthopedics, so I used to go to things about clinical education, ethics, professionalism, and kind of, how education goes in waves. So definitely the portfolio was mentioned. We're talking about showing growth over time. So they
Yeah.
always talked about art and different areas like that. And, when you go for a job, you bring this large portfolio
Let's
of your work.
go.
So they started talking about this. So the late, like, I would say maybe 2010, 2009, we started creating a portfolio in a binder with,
Mm-hmm.
tell us about yourself. I did connect it to one of my classes, kind of had a pre and a post. So it'll be something that you did in the beginning of your time. It's a 3-year program. And then getting ready to graduate, what is the information that you'd want to have in case a boss asks you, tell me about
Right.
yourself, a future boss, I should say, that you have a chance of kind of tooting your own horn.
Okay.
So then in 2013 or so, we heard about Stony Brook University having Digication and having the opportunity for an e-portfolio. I had gone to a meeting with Nancy, who was our head of our area
Mm-hmm.
there, and she brought together someone from PA, also the medical school, and we just talked about, because now this is the buzzword out there, kind of what is electronic portfolio. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is so much nicer and so much easier than me collecting 85 portfolios in the back of the room and the binders and everything.
Yeah.
So that's when we started the e-portfolio here. So I'm going to stop for a second. If you have any other questions,
Oh,
I can.
well, I have so
Yes,
many
so many questions. Yeah.
questions. Yes.
Okay.
So, just hearing you talk, I'm very curious how where the interest in physical therapy really started. You mentioned that you've always been interested in becoming an educator. And how did you find your way into the field of physical therapy?
Yeah, so I read it in a career corner when I was in high school. Always loved science and math, believe it or not. The
Mhm.
future STEM girl, without even knowing that was around. The column basically said, "Did you want to do something medical, but you didn't want to be a nurse or a physician?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Mm-hmm." So I just thought it was so interesting, and I did some shadowing at a local large hospital, and I was put into some situations that I thought I saw a patient that had burns, and I saw another patient that
Okay.
had amputations, and I saw someone who was mentally challenged, and I thought, wow. I didn't never had these experiences, but I was able to communicate and help. And
Yeah.
went home and I remember talking to my parents saying, I can do this. So I feel comfortable and I feel like I can have learn the skills of what I needed to do. So then I went to a community college, applied to 10 universities, and I got into Hunter
Well,
College. It was very difficult. So we do have empathy still for our students that this is
yeah.
a very rigorous program, very intense. Partially, I think what it is you have a conscientiousness about I want to remember everything because it's all building blocks and things don't go
Okay.
away. So you can't just study for an exam and forget about it. So that feeling is kind of on them, weighted on their shoulders. It's a good thing because it kind of keeps them up, but we all can relate to that, even if we had a bachelor's or a master's. Programs years ago were bachelor's degrees, and now, of course, it's a clinical doctorate. So it's at least 7 years to become a physical therapist. So it's 4 undergrad and then the graduate. So yeah. So
Yeah.
and then I was always involved with students. So as you can move up as you're a clinician. It's like a senior position or the head of a unit. So I was in charge of the student program. I think at my third job, and after that, you know who's coming in and what level, and then who's having some personality issues or who's having knowledge
Honeymoon.
issues, and trying to be that like mediator. My
Yeah.
parents joke around that I've been born a mediator because I have four brothers, and
Oh my goodness.
and I always was like, mom, dad, Lawrence or Michael, they didn't mean to do that, and this is what So
Uh-huh.
that's kind of my thing.
Oh, I love
So
it. So I have one daughter and four boys also, and
wow,
so I'm just curious. So where were you in the lineup? Were
I'm the
you the
oldest.
oldest? Okay, so
Yes.
is she.
Oh yes. You tell her I'll talk to her later.
Oh, I'm sure you guys can have a very good chat. It's an experience, yes, and she definitely does a good job at kind of leading the pack, if you
Rallying the
will.
troops. That's when you say, was your career chosen for you, or you were chosen for the career?
Right?
So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
absolutely. So
absolutely. Oh well, thank you so much for sharing that background. And as you're speaking, I can tell that you do have this incredible passion for being able to communicate and kind of provide support for individuals. Even just speaking about your family, you were trying to make it clear to your parents that your brothers did something by accident. And it sounds like this has been a really useful skill for you to bring into what you're doing in your work with patients and also with your work with the students too. Um, so I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the. So I mentioned when we started speaking that it just seems like what your students are doing really exemplifies a lot of high impact practices that are a big focus in higher education today. You've got experiential learning built in, you've got project based learning built in. They're clearly having a very integrative and reflective experience as they move from each course to the next, as you mentioned, kind of building upon that foundation of knowledge and making connections throughout. So I wanted to spend some time talking about that a little bit because I think some of our listeners are really familiar with the high impact practices, some are not, and how that might fit into these kinds of healthcare educations, I think is really important for people to understand. So if you could talk a little bit about what the kind of experiential learning opportunities that your students have at Stony Brook University. I'm imagining there's probably a great deal of kind of field work and
yes.
beginning to have connections with patients. Could you describe that a little bit?
Absolutely. So as a kind of connected together at the same time, I want to say probably it's maybe 2010 also. I had spoke to my chair about the idea of including a service requirement so that they
Yeah.
had to do 30 hours. We wanted to figure out as a faculty how many hours, when should they be able to start this. And, service learning is incorporated in many physical therapy programs as a course. It's
Okay.
also, especially if someone has a faculty clinic or a pro bono
Absolutely.
clinic, then they have hours in there. So I wanted to keep it looser and more open with different areas. The idea was to kind of get out of the classroom and do
Yeah.
something good for the world. And if they already had been a coach for their child's team, you got to do something new. So you can create something or not. So anyway, it was really good. And the idea that this actually fit into the portfolio beautifully. So they have to log their hours, and then they have to write reflective paper about, and with different questions. Some of it is, what was your best moment in the 30 hours that you chose? What did
Okay.
you do? Do you think that physical therapists should be advocates? And do you see that this is something that you would do once you become a clinician? Like, so now you are in a small outpatient practice. Do you sponsor a health fair? Do you pick a charity for the year that you do things for? So it's to kind of
Yeah.
open their mind and see that even if you're busy, you could fit this in.
Yeah.
So that was it was a great place on the portfolio to put that in. And through the three classes that I have with them, we would always spend time on the last class. All right, we've updated our portfolios. Let's go in. And they would look at each other's and we would
Oh,
share,
good.
what have you been doing in service? Okay, everyone that helped on interview day, everybody that helped with the health fair, let's go into some groups and talk about it. Open up the portfolio and see, oh my gosh, there's great pictures. Our students have been at the New York City Marathon.
So
We're very lucky. We're
fun.
the east end of Long Island, but we have access to the city. Having a large faculty, we have over 16 of us. Everyone has different interests and different, some things have been created by them, and it's on our website. They're different. And then other ones we just join. So it's just to kind of get them up and out, to
Yeah.
take a walk or a run with one of your students on a Saturday is a very different experience than, but there we've done. So it's been really good. And every year's different. Some students have spearheaded some very, involved things. And then everything is okay. Like we have a Super Bowl going on now. Bring some cans of
Yes.
soup. Very easy, and so, yeah, so we don't, the first semester is very difficult, and so is the second. So we just start kind of talking about service right now for the first year. So they have, now where can you put an hour or two in, and they have plenty of time. But it is really initially they always say, "Oh my gosh, this sounds like such a difficult thing," but then it's good. So that's
I'm
one
sure they
piece of
find
it.
it very fulfilling.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And they've done some great things as undergrads too. So that's for me. That's the e-portfolio too. Is it's two pieces for me. It's toot your own horn, and also in the
Mhm.
beginning, who are you? So they get to come in, and I'm asked, and I did create a template, and the first page is a welcome page, and basically it's five fun facts about yourself. Tell us, someone, look, I love spaghetti, or I have 4 dogs, or there's a lot of thing
Mhm.
about food and pets and travel. But we'll have something like, oh, I play 6 instruments. Be like, what?
Right.
And then so these type of things, and there's pictures and videos and quotes. So the first page can kind of be, and it's really fun. So so I of course look at that and I'll get to know them through the summer. And then I tell their faculty advisors, okay, your students have put up their portfolio. They told you about themselves, and there's pictures, and they get to put up their diploma, pictures of undergrad. It's just like initially it's kind of like electronic scrapbook,
Yeah.
but it's just kind of everything about them. Some of the faculty then use this to kind of use as icebreakers throughout the courses. So they'll be like, all right, I heard that 2 or 3 of you are into surfing. All right, stand up, tell me. So, and then they use that, as kind of like, or something funny about, oh, who's been to Alaska in this class. I know who it is, and
Mhm.
then that person. So it's
Oh,
just
I
a
love
nice
that.
way to guess, and we've done that through the years, and it's been a lot of fun. So just like a little area, and then. Sometimes while we've done reviews at the end, even in the third year, I'll say, okay, pick someone in the room that you don't really know that well, even
Mhm.
after all these years of being together. Okay, open up their portfolio. What? I didn't know that you've gone to 26 countries, or that your goal is to hit every national park in America. So they still can learn things about each other, so which is great. So again, it's
I love
definitely,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that so it kind of so at Digication we talk a lot about students being able to use the platform as a way to be seen, be heard, and be recognized. And it sounds like you've had a number of different opportunities for the students to use it like that before they're even thinking about possibly using it as a career advancement tool. It sounds like you're using it as a tool to kind of build community within the program.
Yes.
I love that
Yeah.
the advisors have an opportunity to see it. It sounds like before the students even arrive. Is that correct?
Yeah, so in the summer it's kind of quiet. Most of our faculty, only 2 of us teach them, and they have a very large anatomy class. So kind of full blast is back in the fall, but
Yeah.
all the faculty are back, and they get to meet their students. Yeah, yeah. So
Wow. Oh, so
yeah.
how wonderful that they have that kind of introduction to them and already have a face to a name before they have their kind of first in person interactions.
Yeah,
And I love that it's being used as a tool for the students to connect to one another in their classes as well. I'm sure going through this program is rigorous as it is, to have as many, strong connections to other peers is really valuable. And it sounds like this is being used as a great way to kind of set the stage for where they may have some common ground or interesting things to learn about each other. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And as you were talking about service, I just wanted to bring up, as I was kind of preparing to talk to you today, I learned about some of the service work that you're doing in your bio. And I believe it's called PAR 4. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes. So, yeah, this is just a great program. It's actually not at Stony Brook anymore, but it's over at Toro's been using it, MIT. So, but I'll talk quickly. So this
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
how it was a golf program for children in
Mhm.
middle school where gangs are prevalent in Suffolk
Mhm.
County. So again, it's one of those kind of brainchilds. It was my good friend Alex Lopez, who was an OT, and the
Mhm.
two of us worked together. And then we would have open it up to our students and able to let them, join. Basically, golf has rules, and
Mhm.
someone does a good shot, and you give a little proper clap, and you walk around, fresh air.
Yeah, lots of
One
outdoor time.
Yeah, one of the students, I'll never forget, he was so funny. He says, Kyle, it's so beautiful out here on the golf course. You know what? They should really put houses up here. I'm like, no, no, no. The idea is just, so we laughed, but kids who wouldn't join a normal club in their school,
Yeah.
everyone would join our program, and the idea was that everyone is equal and everyone has a chance to try and learn, and mentorship that way. So it was really the whole model was just wonderful. And that's kind of how the other programs that we have presently, there's always that our students being in their 20s is that gap between the actual whoever's involved. It could be an 8-year-old who's now working out for the first time, or that
Mhm.
could be someone, older who's having falls recently. Like they're the ones to kind of give that extra warmth and knowledge and make the person feel comfortable. So, and that teaches them again how to adapt to different types of audiences. They have 4 clinicals and they have different experiences, and some of them are very nervous. Some of them have never worked in a large hospital before. So,
Yeah.
this lets them do that. The other idea with the e-portfolio is that it's a scrapbook for them. So they may get this beautiful note from a patient. It was so great
Mhm.
to work with you. You're going to make a great physical therapist. What do you do with that? I'm like, oh, you
Mhm.
can scan it in and put it in your portfolio. The idea, I said it, so it's kind of like a meet and greet. Who are you? But also then, of course, like typical growth over time. So
Yeah.
the idea that they put up a PowerPoint that they did in their first year with 2 or 3 people, and even just to show them how advanced they've become in some of their
Yeah.
presentations by the third year. They have this and that, and their references are awesome, and they're able to pull in a video or something. So and they feel so much more comfortable because they say, oh, I was such a nervous person that first time I had to get up in front of 80 students, so it's kind of neat, that way.
Yeah. Yeah, we find it's very empowering for students to be able to look back on where they were, and really in just a short period of time in the grand scheme of things, who they were and what their skills were when they joined your program, and this incredible transformation that happens over those few years. And
Absolutely.
it's so telling, being able to not only see kind of their reflections about the experience, but to be able to look at some of the actual work and projects that they created. Again, it just kind of supports what you said about how rigorous the program is, that the students have this really kind of longitudinal showcase of what they've done throughout your program at various levels, and this beautiful way that they connect pieces of what they've done.
Right.
Um, I also love there's an area where I think some students have a presentation and some have written these beautiful personal statements about, maybe why they've come to study physical therapy. Some of them have very powerful stories about, maybe their connection to past physical therapy when they were younger, or a family member that needed that and the impact that it has. What kind of maybe mentorship or scaffolding do you give the students as they're creating those personal statements? Are they doing that as part of the
Right.
curriculum?
Yeah, so that is actually the application. We use a company, PT CAS, and every
Uh-huh.
year there is a new question. So that is their
Mhm.
physical therapy essay.
Okay.
So they are given the option to post that essay, or to actually just then share, why did you want to be a therapist? If it was,
Yeah.
because sometimes one year it was a little more like, tell us about qualities that you feel a healthcare professional should have.
Right.
And that would
Uh-huh.
be the essay, which was, again, very powerful. But then, so I kind of give them the option. I said, you can go back into your essay that you had posted, which is really great. And usually there is part of their story of why something in their family or on themselves. Or again, why did you want to be a physical therapist? So that's up there too. And it's just, again, more information about them. It kind of starts the beginning of their story. In this summer, I joke around like, all right, so, again, how many people here were into sports, and then they hurt their knee, and, a third of them
Mhm.
stand up, or, so we kind of talk, because we talk about my classes in the summer with them is professional practice 1, and it's foundations. So it's all about physical therapy. We kind of bring them all together, like, oh, who's worked as an aide, and who's had therapy on them, and what do you know about physical therapy, some of the legal and some of the ethical. And so it's like, it fits really nicely in there. Like, who are you? And then everyone will be like, oh, and there's connections. So be like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I worked with a therapist, and she was a wonderful clinician with vestibular problems. Oh my gosh, me too. They know
Right.
the same person. So you'll find all these connections throughout the summer of people who have worked together or knew a therapist. And they talk very proudly of the therapist they have worked with, either as a volunteer or as, employed. They said, I watch this person across the room, and I see how they're able to temper their voice, or they're able to use their nonverbals, or they're able to bring kind of people together through a funny story, or so
Yeah.
the feeling of community. So that's really what they're learning then. So they bring that, because we, of course, you always talk about what a professional isn't, and of course there's some some good
Yeah.
stories with no names mentioned.
Right, right,
So
right. Yeah, but it really speaks to this power of storytelling, really in creating connections with others, which is a huge part of what they're going to be doing as part of their field experience and after graduation. So it makes a lot of sense that it's kind of built into kind of that initial essay as they're joining the program. Then you continue to give them
with their
opportunities
story, yeah.
to
I
share
think
their
the students
story.
know that I always say that and again, that's why if you are a good clinician, hopefully you become a good teacher, because
Yeah,
you may explain, this is the medical diagnosis and these are all the signs and symptoms, but then you share a story about someone that you work with who, you know, again, was not able to take their medicine, and look what happened, and that, or
yeah,
that they were able to handle a very traumatic event. Those things, they remember those stories,
yeah, yeah,
kind of how it happened, and the
yeah.
pieces to it.
Here's a preview of what's coming up next in part 2 of my conversation with Kyle Hewson, Vice Chair and Clinical Associate Professor in the Doctorate in Physical Therapy program at Stony Brook University.
I think it's 3 classes that they really enjoyed and did some kind of project, like you mentioned. So, I always say to them, by the time you graduate after 3 years, you'll have every type of learning methodology, teaching methodology to you. There's group work, and there's presentations, and there's going out to a clinic. So we use our veterans home right on campus. And so you learn something in neurological physical therapy, but now you actually go and try it and connect with one of our residents.
See you next time.